Living as I now do on a peninsula sticking out into the Atlantic Ocean, there's beaches in all directions bar one. Uh, Particularly if I go up to the end of the village and turn right, I get to one set of beaches. If I turn left, I get to a different set of beaches. At night, from a third direction, I usually hear the sound of the sea, especially on rougher, stormier nights. One of my favourite walks, turn left out of the village and go over the hill, and then go through a gap in the fence and cross a field, and in that field there is a river running down to the sea. It's not a very wide river. It's wide enough for the cows to stand in it. Meanders, goes through the sand dunes, and then opens out onto the bay where often I sit and think or not think. And the river, of course, is fed by little streams coming off the mountains, and after rains, and has a lot of rain, after rains, it's a torrent, all the reeds bent by the flow of water. After days where there isn't so much rain, it's quieter. If we have an extended dry spell of several days, it almost dries up. I was looking at it yesterday. It was a beautiful warm afternoon, and it hasn't rained for about 48 hours, so the river was calm. And I was looking at it, and it seemed to talk to me of my thoughts. Sometimes so much happening, my thoughts are a torrent, pushing everything out of the way. I've got to do this, I've got to do that. Why did that happen? Regret, fear, hope, ambition, all of them pouring down between the banks of the river, sometimes breaking the bounds of the river, and I feel then drowned in my own thinking. Other days, calm, gently meandering onwards. And unless the river's overflowed, I can stand on the bank and observe the flow of water, not be swept away from it, just as I can stand on the edge of my thoughts and observe them, not be swept away from them. And sometimes one yearns for the flow of thoughts just to stop, give me some peace. But we don't really want that, I don't think. It's around a year ago that my mother died. I saw her a few days before she died. And her thoughts stopping, starting, like a river starved of water drying up. She tried to find words for things that no longer had words she'd lost. Struggling to keep the flow going, and of course, as it will for all of us, the flow stopped. We don't want the peace that comes from stopping, because that peace, by which I mean stopping the onward movement of our thoughts, because that peace is surely the peace of extinction. We like the temporary extinction of sleep, perhaps, but the river needs to keep flowing. Thoughts need to keep moving on, developing, changing, evolving. The river of my thoughts needs to be fed by meetings, by encounters, by reading, by fresh music, by exploring the possibilities of what it is to be alive. Keep it flowing, but not flowing so fast it sweeps all in front of it, or even breaks the bounds of the riverbank itself and drowns me. Each day I walk to that particular beach, I use the river to measure how the landscape is, how the last few days have been in terms of rain and heat and so on. So too, each morning I can observe my thoughts and see whether I am struggling with anxiety or stress, or whether I feel good, or whether things seem calm. But each morning I am grateful that the river inside here is flowing still.